Legendary status. Vic XL, Sam Pisa, aka TF. When y'all gonna learn, man? You can't stop what's inevitable. It's the incredible. PZ, AKTF, dropping jewels, but they edible. I ate my vegetables, but he ate my spinach. Riding with Vic again, so no, we ain't finished. Legendary status, so no, you cannot copy. Riding dirty radio, so crispy, also sloppy. Instant to the street, so we know just what is needed. But keep it underground, staying down, cause we ain't greedy. This is where you find what is popping for the culture, where we keeping it all fresh and stay away from all the vultures. No scavengers here, just keeping it real. Vic got it out the mud, but it's still so clear. So sit back, relax, and just let us lead you. If you trolling for no reason, then we don't need you. It's Vic XL, he can't be stopped. Riding dirty forever, the home of real hip hop. Ride dirty, dog, and y'all can't harm me. I'm living fly in the sky with the stars. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty. Ride dirty, dog, and y'all can't harm me. I'm living fly in the sky with the stars. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty.
What up, world? It's your boy, Vic XL. This is the Ride and Dirty Show, where we bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life, man. Before we get into it, I want to say shout out to all my YouTube people, man. Y'all make sure y'all check me out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Me and my brother Spank, we give y'all the dopest country rap podcast in the Country Rap Report. Check us out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At 10 a.m., we drop brand new content right on YouTube. That's the Country Rap Report. Also, make sure y'all check out the live Ride and Dirty Radio stream every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and we drop nothing but the best in independent music. Also, make sure y'all check out this very show, the Ride and Dirty Radio Show, on 89.3 FM every Thursday night, Friday morning at 3 a.m. Also, make sure you check us out on Ride 95 Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're about to get into it. As always, man, y'all make sure y'all follow us on all the socials. All the socials. Make sure y'all follow us on all the socials at Riding Dirty Radio, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what we do right here on the Riding Dirty Show. We bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life. We bring you the people that got a story to tell. We bring you the people that are moving and shaking the culture, all right? Now, before I bring on our guests, I want to say shout out to my guy AZ. Shout out to my guy Cornbread. Shout out to my guy Finesse God Dan on the check-in. Shout out to everybody on the check-in, man. Stream coming up at 6:15. Y'all definitely lock it in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got an exciting guest to bring to you guys right now. So welcome to the Ride and Dirty Radio platform, Timothy, the Cannabis Bear G. What's going on, my guy?
Man, what's happening? Thank you for the interview. It's time.
Man, it's all good, man. I'm very humbled, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show and to introduce you to the people who support what we got going on here. So look, man, let's get into it. As always, welcome to the platform. Let's start there. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, now did I pronounce your last name? Is it G or Ghee?
Yeah, it's G. It's G.
All right, Timothy G. Is G your real last name?
Yeah.
G-H-E-E?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I've never met a G.
That's my birth. Yes, you have.
Well, I met plenty G's, but I ain't never met a G-H-E-E G.
Yeah.
All right, so look, man, let's get into it, because I definitely want to find out why they call you the Cannabis Bear. But let's first and foremost, where's Timothy G from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, no doubt. ATL.
Yeah.
ATL. What part of Atlanta?
Zone 1, West Side.
West Side. I was just listening to that song West Side by the PSC yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was it like for Timothy growing up on the west side of the ATL?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. It was well, I'm 41, about to be 42, so I grew up in the 90s and the 80s. So it was a different time then.
Okay.
It was amazing, man. I love my childhood. We grew up in the hood, but we didn't know we was in the hood at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So at what point in your childhood did you realize, hold up, this the hood?
I was going to school one day, man, and just out of nowhere, we were cutting through where we go. We didn't want to walk all the way around. We had a little shortcut. So on the way through the shortcut, we couldn't get there. It was ducked off. The police, yellow tape. We couldn't use the shortcut no more. They had found like 3 bodies.
How many?
3.
Whoa. Yeah, that would definitely change my outlook, and it would make me realize I'm in the hood. Matter of fact, I might be ready to go.
Again, we grew up in the hood, but when you young like that, you know what's going on, but you don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was the street light era, cuz you had to, when you were that young, you had to come on for the street light there, go in the house. You feel me?
Okay. All right. Now, when did you? Because you have a lot going on here. You got the cannabis, you got the clothes, and you got the comic books. When did you come into when did you come to your fascination? Well, go ahead.
The clothing line actually sparked the coloring book, which sparked the comic book. So it started with the clothing line.
So well, let's go back. Let's talk about your love for cannabis and how that name, the Cannabis Bear, come to be your own.
Okay, well, I was born with cerebral palsy, that's a disability. So I use weed for pain management. So my love for weed started kind of early. I've been smoking since I was like 16.
Okay. When did you realize that weed was a good, I'm not going to say cure, but when did you realize that weed could really help with your cerebral palsy?
Oh no, man, I asked my doctor, like I said, around about 16, I was like, hey, I'll be smoking weed. And I noticed XYZ. He's like, yeah, it's good for your disability, help with the spasticity and blase. So ever since then, I've been smoking.
Okay. Now, at 16 years old, was it hard for you to come by that green?
No. I got my first QP of weed from my brother. I've always had somebody I could go to get the weed.
Okay. All right. Now, your doctor definitely confirmed that, hey.
Oh, yeah, that weed is definitely a plus for pain management.
Oh, and you never looked back?
No, man, I don't take a Percocet. Hell, I barely take something for a headache.
How often do you indulge in the cannabis?
Every day.
Every single day?
Yeah. Every day, all day.
Okay. Now, how did your family react to finding out that cannabis was basically a good pain reliever for your disability?
Oh, well, nobody mad. I basically told everybody when I really started smoking that, I smoke weed. So if I'm coming around, I'm going to be smoking. And that's basically what it was. It wasn't like, I'm just telling my business and I need to do this or that. It was just more like, hey, I smoke. So if I'm being around, I'm smoking.
Okay, no doubt. All right, now, when did you realize, when did your entrepreneurial spirit kick in? Because, in handling this disability, you became a founder and a owner of a company, Black Metal Inc. When did you decide to take your love for cannabis and expand into the business world?
I'm gonna be honest, man. That was an accident. I was watching a Marvel cartoon, and I told my fiance, I said, "Hey, I can write some shit better than this," and she said, "We'll see. Let me see," or something to that effect. And that's what happened.
All right. So, what was your first?
The first character I created from Let Me See was Timothy the Cannabis Bear.
Okay. All right. And tell us about Timothy the Cannabis Bear. What was his thesis?
I needed a villain for the actual novel, and I felt like if I'm gonna do the story, I wanted to do it from a different perspective. So I did it from the perspective of an antagonist, which you would call the villain of the story.
Okay. And what was their first piece of writing? What was you had Timothy the Cannabis Doctor, but what was the first offering?
My first novel that I ever created is called The Lost Chronicles of the Savage Pirate, and it is the kickoff of the war between Divalis, who is a Drago character, who is one of the last living dragons alive. And millions have took over and replaced man, so there are no more humans. We are now living in a mystical, magical world where the animals have evolved and taken our place. So in this particular world, Timothy wanted to prove that, the dragons weren't so tough and you can kill one, or he can kill one if he wanted to. So I basically started a war to prove the point.
Okay, now, Timothy the Cannabis Bear, is he actually a bear, or you say he's a Drago, or?
Oh, yeah, no. Divalis the Savage Pirate is the Drago.
Okay.
Timothy the Cannabis Bear is actually a bear. He has 4 arms.
Okay. And I gotta ask, man, were you smoking when you created Timothy?
Yeah, I was smoking.
All right, and what has been the response to the very first offering? What has been your response, and how do people feel about Timothy?
I turned Timothy into rolling papers. I have the hat, the T-shirts. He's the spin-off character that kind of took off out of the book. Everybody loved it.
Man, I was on your website, bro. You got the Cannabis Bear, the actual stuffed animal.
Yeah.
You got that.
You can get an actual stuffed animal. You can get mugs. You can get one-of-a-kind New Era hat, T-shirts. We have hoodies in the winter. We have button-downs on Oxfords. I'm coming out with a line of sweater vests. We have rolling papers.
All right, bro. Let's go back because we're moving kind of fast here.
Okay.
All right, so you decide to come up with this character, Timothy the Cannabis Bear, and actually almost on a dare, you had someone who didn't believe you could do it. Like, what was the process you put into it? Like, you had to have some love for sci-fi or love for coloring books
I've been watching cool cartoons my whole life, so this was my opportunity to take my love for storytelling and actually create a cartoon.
Okay.
And that's exactly when the dare came about. That's exactly what I started to do. I started to figure out the characters first, and then you figure out the storyline.
All right, now, in creating this, how did the comic book come about?
Well, again, I had started creating a clothing line, and then I was online seeing this thing called adult coloring books, and I'm like, that's not an adult coloring book. That's just some shit with some patterns. So I started to do my characters with these different poses smoking weed, holding like thongs. I got them smoking weed, and they got a couple of characters with the heads cut off, holding just some sci-fi superhero graphic shit that I thought we would enjoy.
All right, now, do you naturally also have a love for comics in general, like Marvel, DC, that type of thing?
Yeah, like I said, I was watching a DC actual cartoon when this whole thing came about. I said that I thought I can do a better job, and she said, let's see, and I did. That was in 2014, and in 2022, I'm talking to you.
All right, now, how much time actually went into putting together the first novel?
Oh, man, it took, let me see, 2014, it took 3 years.
3 years to put
I published it.
Okay.
Yeah, I published it myself. I found the best manufacturers. We put the story together. I edited it myself. So all told, it took 3 years.
Okay.
Because I just wasn't putting the actual stories together. I was putting the companies together around the stories.
All right, now, what has been the perception, number one, of Timothy? Like, how do people feel about Timothy? How do people feel about the novel series and the merch?
Well, the merch is moving. Everybody who has read the novel, either ebook or the actual print book, is waiting on book 2, and it's going to be a year and a half away. I'm still writing it. I'm actually writing it and a crime series that I'm about to kick off as well.
All right, would you like to see Timothy come alive, possibly on the big screen?
Well, video games and cartoons are something that I am looking to get into. We are always searching for different opportunities, and cartoons and video games are something that has been discussed.
Okay. All right. Now, I got to ask this, man. I noticed when I was on your Instagram. What is your love with these wrestling belts, bro?
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm a diehard wrestling fan in general, and part of owning your own publishing company with an online bookstore is memorabilia. It's also a great way to invest, which is something I'm into, investing in different types of investing. You can buy an autographed piece of memorabilia for a few $100, sometimes maybe $1,000. That particular piece of memorabilia later on becomes worth millions or hundreds of thousands. So that's my love for the wrestling bit.
All right, bro, because I seen that you have like this red and yellow wrestling belt.
Running Wild Hulkamania autograph belt from like 1984.
Did he ever wear that?
Yeah, I got the card of authenticity with his autograph on it and all of that. So, I think that was the second belt ever created off that line because it has the number 2 on it. So I think that was the second belt ever created.
So, are you a well-known memorabilia collector as well? Like, are you known in the memorabilia circle?
No, I'm not well known. I am. I just started out my collection. If you ask people who collect, they're small. If you ask my fiance, she would say, looking in my office, it looked like a toy invasion. But, I'm not well known. I like rare pieces that mean something to me. I got a lot of autographed cards from like Ted DiBiase, Hulk Hogan. I got things from Ric Flair. Who else is in there? Bruno Sammartino. It's a couple of different things. I'm just looking around the office. You know what I'm saying? But it's mostly wrestling.
All right, now when we go back to the adult comics or your adult coloring books, do you feel like more?
When I say adult, I don't mean sick, because when you say adult, most people, I mean like it's marijuana based. You might, your kid might see a bear smoking weed holding a bloody bear head. That's what I mean when I say adult coloring, but I don't mean like adult in the sense of sexual. With your questions I begin, that's why I elaborated on that.
Well, people who are in the comic world know that they have, and I can't remember what they're called because I collect African American comics, and there are smaller books. There are actually a lot of smaller books, and they're geared more towards the adult fans, and they are a little more graphic than the typical Marvel or DC book.
Yeah. My story is urban. It's more what if hip hop came to life. You see what I'm saying? Again, Project Kid. I just wrote it how I seen it. Put cartoon characters in it. It's an actual real story behind it. The lead character in the story is actually half earth creature, half alien creature, and was misplaced from his mom when they killed his dad. So it's a whole nother story behind the characters once you get into the actual novel. You see what I'm saying?
Right. When it comes to African Americans, do you feel like more African Americans need to get involved in the just say in the comic book movement? Because I'm gonna be honest, I started collecting African American comics because when I grew up as a kid, I didn't know it was any African American superheroes. So once I was introduced to Luke Cage, I felt like I wanted to at least collect one copy of all the African American comics.
Your first one? Was Luke Cage your first one, or was it John Stewart?
John Stewart was the Green Lantern, right?
Yeah.
I think
because he was the first one I remember being black. I think he was the first one, and then I stumbled on the Luke Cage. I think the first one I ever seen was John Stewart. That's why I asked.
I'm not sure who came first, but Luke Cage was the first to have his own series. Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Now, there are Green Lantern books, but the Green Lantern has taken forms of so many different. There are so many people that don the uniform that John Stewart.
Yeah, I got you.
So I really think there should be some Green Lantern books called Green Lantern John Stewart or something along that line, just for collectors like myself. Just like Captain America. A lot of people don't realize Captain America was originally African American.
Oh, in the very beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, you mean original.
But so I started.
But see, they want to go back now to the actual. Let's make them black. I don't think people would accept it now.
Nah, because you have people who get upset who grew up on what they would call tradition, and so when they see a character that they grew up on that looked one way, and then when he's introduced another way, a lot of people tend to get offended. It makes no sense to me, but hey.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. How do you feel about, it being more
I think
comics geared towards
black people should get into business, our own type of business, whatever it is. If it's writing, creating, investing, whatever our passion is, we should try to turn our passion into a way to make money. That way you're not working, you're just creating income.
No doubt. Definitely no doubt on that. You yourself, how do you plan on moving your business forward 2022 and beyond?
Well, I'm going to continue to do interviews with great people like yourself.
I appreciate that.
I have an interview coming up with a cannabis magazine. I'm going to have a sit down with a potential investor, and we're going to talk to a couple of different companies about the video games. And we're going to keep putting out great content. I got 2 more coloring books I'm going to drop in the very near future.
Okay, now, how can people get your products? Like, how can they get their hands on all these items you have?
You can go to blackmetalinkcomics.com. Everything that's listed ships out either Friday or Tuesday. And we're currently always adding stuff. I don't want to oversaturate the website, so you just have to keep checking back. If you're into what we call specialty items, you can just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and we can work that out. All books, all coloring books, like I said, everything that's available, hats, ship out either that Tuesday or that Friday via FedEx or UPS.
All right, now when it came down to creating the graphics, were you actually drawing the graphics yourself, or did you get with someone to actually draw your figures?
Yeah, I had to do a little both. I had to figure out how to show them what I wanted. I can do just enough for them to know what it is.
Okay. And how?
I can't say no names because I signed some NDAs because they work at different places, but I have a great team of artists, man, who want to bring my characters to life.
Okay. And how did you get into the rolling papers, that natural, slow-burning rolling papers?
Yeah, I always wanted the rolling papers. When I first did the Timothy the Cannabis Bear brand, it was supposed to be a brand that could go between the two biggest industries that it was, which was Comic-Con and soon to be weed. The rolling papers, we're going to work on the edibles, our own different weed strains, all that stuff. So the rolling papers was the first step into that particular arena.
Okay. Now, when you ship out these products, right, do you autograph them or?
I'm going to start autographing the coloring books and the novels. I don't autograph the shirts and the hats, but if you want that, I would. So yes, I'll autograph it if the person wants.
All right, bro. Because I think
no extra charge. I know everybody upcharge when they do that. I ain't gonna upcharge just to put my name on it.
I think because I'm looking, man. I think I want to get both these comics because one comic actually, one of the coloring books has Timothy on the front, and the other one has
the violence on the front.
Yeah, I think both these characters are dope, and they both fine. They both fine it up. They both.
Well, the whole story is built around action and adventure, and instead of drinking, I don't.
90 seconds.
So they weren't really drinking; they were smoking weed.
All right. And what about the teddy bears?
Another fun fact, man. Some of these characters are based on some of my friends who have passed away. My way of acknowledging them. Some of the streets are actually streets from Atlanta. So if you know, you know. So that's a little behind the scenes for the people.
Okay. What about the bears?
60
Do the bears actually come with the Cannabis Bear T-shirt on?
No. I got the actual, it does have a purple shirt on it that says Cannabis Bear. You're talking about the actual teddy bears, right?
Yeah, the teddy bear, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a Cannabis Bear shirt. It is my interpretation of Timothy the Cannabis Bear as an actual bear, the brown one.
Yeah, man, I'm finna, hold on, man, I'm trying to support you right now as we speak live on air. I'm trying to. I just put that in the card. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
10 seconds.
Your PayPal or either way you want to check out.
I'm definitely rocking with your movement, bro. Before I let you go, did you ever consider incorporating music or anything like that, especially maybe for the west side of the A?
Okay, man. So that's how it started. That's the career I walked away from to do the storytelling. See, to me, it was just a different arena. That's why my cousins say the stories are so good, because musically all I did was tell stories. So you remove the beat and you still get the stories. Except I just created the characters to play the chess game with.
So
but if you asking me, am I going back to the studio? Eventually, I'm going back to the studio. I'm waiting on a couple of my cousins who are the type of producers I like to work with to get unbusy, and then you'll probably have me back for some music shit.
So you are an artist as well?
I don't consider myself an artist. But yeah, I can do music if that's what you're asking me. I can do poetry, can rap. That's basically the same shit. Yeah. But yeah.
All right. Oh, or well, I remember back in the day, Paula Abdul had a character called MC Scat, MC Scat Cat, I think, something like that. And they actually did a whole album like that. Like, hey man, maybe we can get a Timothy the Cannabis Bear album.
I mean, like I said, first thing, man, is the single, and again, the second album, a few more coloring books. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot, man. Once I really start getting rolling, it's gonna be hard to get rid of me. And I want to thank you for having me on your platform, man. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. Look, bro, before I let you go, real quick, let them know one last time that website so they can find all these goodies.
Oh yeah, man, check me out at Black Metal Ink Comics. That's Black Metal Ink, I-N-K, comics with an S.com. That's Black Metal Ink, comics.com.
All right, Timothy the Cannabis Bear, my G, I definitely appreciate your time, bro. Until next time, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, peace. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, y'all please make sure y'all check out my guy, Timothy the Cannabis Bear, over at Black Metal Ink Comics.com. That's Black Metal Ink Comics.com. Please support the independent businessmen. All right, man, it's your boy Big XL. This is the Ryan Dirty Show, where we bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life, man. Remember, y'all, do me one favor. If you don't do nothing else, make sure you stay positive, be strong. You won't go wrong. Peace.